Hello and welcome to Eyewitness News. My name is Tshidi Madia, Associate Editor for Politics. I have been saying to you, we'll be bringing you updates from Nasrec, where the ANC is meeting for its sixth National Policy Conference. I am speaking now to a former leader of the organization, former President Thabo Mbeki joins me now. Let's get a sense of what he makes of what is happening here at Nasrec, but most importantly, where the governing party stands in 2022. So thank you so much for joining us.
No, thanks, Eddie.
Your general sense, the first question I have, it's day 2 today. What is your general sense of what is happening here? As observers and outsiders, what we are met with is Pala Pala Farm. This, we're met with a step aside, this and that. Are you concerned? Are you okay? What is your point in terms of your assessment of whether or not ANC members are actually understanding where they stand as a party, where the country stands at the moment? Because some make an assessment that we are fast seeping into a crisis. What is your general sense?
No, my sense, this morning we've discussed women's empowerment, women's emancipation, the Zondo Commission, its consequences, what should we do about that, the renewal of the ANC, and issues of strategy and tactics when we go forward in terms of the transformation and all that. What challenges must we overcome? And my sense in all of those discussions is that the delegates are treating each one of those in a very serious way, with very serious focus. And I'm pleased to say that my sense also is that there's a very good understanding of the current reality. So as you design these policies, you are responding to a very good understanding of what is our actuality. What's the actual situation that we're dealing in? Therefore, a better definition of the challenges that we've got to meet. Not dreams and wishes and all that. This current reality, my sense, is that a lot of the delegates, as they engage these issues, they are very conscious of the reality that we have to deal with. And therefore treating the matter very seriously and in a concrete, objective way. And secondly, everybody wants to speak, which is very, very good. No, it's very good because it gives you, everybody wants sense of ownership, so that when we come out of this conference with all decisions, then these delegates will say, it's my responsibility to make sure that we agreed succeeds, it works.
You mentioned the Zondo Commission, and I want to go back to that report. We as a nation are outraged by what's contained in the report. But here at Nasrec, we went to a briefing where we heard out of over 200 leaders were implicated, only one felt to take it upon himself to go to the Integrity Commission to explain himself. What does that say about an ANC? And what does it also say about the role of that Integrity Commission? The commission, unlike the disciplinary committee, is not empowered by the ANC constitution to make sure that it takes actual sanctions that can be seen through, that can be held to the parties by the constitution. What is your sense again of those leaders? What do you then say to a nation outraged by corruption when those who are implicated, only one feels obliged to go and say, look, here's my side of the story?
No, you see, what's happened, Sidi, is that the National Executive Committee, quite correctly, said, let's appoint a task team to go through all of the 5,000 plus pages of that commission and identify what the commission says about what needs to be done, so that we ourselves as the ANC can then respond systematically to all of these things. Task team was set up, chaired by former Minister Jeff Radebe, and they have reported here where they are with regard to that planning. And therefore, the detailed response must be ready by the end of August. One of the consequences of that is therefore that if I'm implicated there, my immediate response is to say, okay, I'm going to follow the leadership of my organization with regard to this. So indeed, at the end of August, the directors must come to say, now you've implicated Thabo Mbeki. You go to the Integrity Commission or whatever. So that is why, you see, I doubt if you would get individual actions from these ANC members. They will act in terms of the outcome of this organized process.
But what does that say, though, when leaders of society wait for an organized process in order to try and explain themselves and their actions? What does that say to us, though, about a moral campus of individual members of the ANC? You maintain that you're leaders of society, right? The expectation then is that you must act in a particular manner. And if you're implicated as an individual, your moral campus, for me, has to tell you, I need to do what needs to be done with regards to this, as opposed to waiting for an organization to give me a line of march. In essence, that's kind of why the ANC is in trouble. Chief Justice Zondo speaks about the difficulty for members in Parliament to serve a party line versus their own oaths to the country and the Constitution. There's a middle ground there that I struggle with. And even in your explanation now, when you speak about waiting for an organization, I sit there and think, but what about these people who are meant to be leaders of society, who are meant to uphold particular values in society and of this organization that's trying to convince the rest of us that it's still fit for purpose going forward?
No, I'd like to convince you, Tshidi, with regard to that. You see, it's quite unlikely that you would get ANC members to act outside of this process of the ANC. When the ANC leadership says, we have to look at every one of the recommendations made by Judge Zondo. And all members of the ANC, including the implicated ones, have to act in a manner that is consistent with what is being said. We want to look at everything in detail, everything, and we'll come back and deal with everything. I'm saying I must convince you that honest ANC members will say, therefore, I will act according to what the ANC says. It's not because they are trying to run away from any responsibility, but they are just acting as disciplined members of the ANC. That's what will happen. It's not to say, therefore, they are insensitive to whatever obligations that they have as leaders and all of that. I'm absolutely certain that all of them, anyone who is implicated in this thing, will then act as would be suggested. If you want to go to the commission, you have to, or you are expelled from the ANC, you are expelled. That's what will happen. And I'm quite certain members of the ANC would want to act in a disciplined manner in terms of what the ANC has decided.
I know I don't have time, but I have to ask you this last question. The debate around energy, the issue of private partnerships. I heard the ANC president again call on the private sector to come to the party. Some ANC members saying this is not the direction that we need to go to as an organization. Just where you stand, considering what you've dealt with when you were in leadership, considering what you are watching, again, going back to the frustrations that South Africans feel every day around this particular issue. This is my parting shot. I know I've run out of time.
No, it's old policy of the ANC. The old policy of the ANC is that the private sector must join this in terms of power generation. It's nothing new. And that policy has never changed. So President Ramaphosa is correct when he calls for this greater involvement in generation by the private sector. And I think that's correct. In any case, part of what we have to understand, you see the capital, this money you need for development in this country is essentially in private hands. You want to open factories, you want to do this and that and that. You've got to access this capital that is in private hands. When you want to build new power generation, it's correct and logical that you must access the private sector to say, please come in. We've got our limited pool of money as a state, but you've got also large sums of money. Please come in, let's act on this thing together. It's correct.
Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. I've got lots of things to do, but I think Fully won't let me. Thank you so much. That's former president, former ANC president, former head of state, Thabo Mbeki, speaking to Eyewitness News at the sidelines of the Nasrec at the ANC 6th Policy Conference. For Eyewitness News, my name is Tshidi Madia.